Last night in Dover, there was a farming protest. Some tractors caused a blockade, and they were protesting about the imports, the cheaper imports that are flooding into the country and undercutting British food. It's important to understand that we always said this is what Brexit would deliver and ensure. We tried to change the Agriculture Act. We actually protested against it. We campaigned against it. We also campaigned against these really bad trade deals. But it was always the case that Brexit, in particular coming out of the single market and the customs union, meant that we would be flooded with low standard imports. And the one person who actually confirmed this, it was Nigel Farage.
What do you say? Expensive, because the other thing that a customs union does, it determines the tariffs that are put on imports from the rest of the world on items like shoes, food, bras, the things actually that the poorest families spend the biggest part of their incomes on. Those things will stay expensive if we stay in a customs union, and that's something that Labour voters need to understand.
For you now, he confirmed that Brexit means cheaper, lower standard imports coming into Britain. Just imagine the horror when last night Nigel Farage decided to quote tweet the farming protest and want to be seen as the champion of farmers. Now let's get this straight. Brexit is here mainly because of Nigel Farage. His years of campaigning with UKIP are what's pushed that up the political agenda. And it was always the case that Brexit was going to damage farming. Patrick Minford, the Brexit economist, made that clear to Parliament in 2012.
I think that it's perfectly true that if you remove protection of the sort that has been given in particular to the car industry and to other manufacturing industries inside the protective wall, you have got you're going to have a change in the situation facing that industry, and you are going to have to run it down, and it will be in your interest to do it just in the same way that we ran down the coal industry and the steel industry. These things happen.
He said manufacturing would be run down, and that is exactly what is happening, especially because they've ensured this situation where we have sanctions, we can't export easily, but actually it's been pretty easy for the last 3 years for anything coming via the EU to come through here without any checks, which means that we literally are trying to farm in high standards in a really unfair marketplace. Even the devolved nations have a better deal than the English farmers. This is absolutely appalling. And now we have Nigel Farage trying to say that he wants to be the champion of farmers. Well, I say to Nigel Farage, if he wants to lead the farmers to get a better deal and save British food, he needs to accept that to do that, we need an exit from Brexit, because there is no way we can do anything to salvage British farming without freeing up trade with our biggest market next door in Europe, our friends and neighbours on the continent. That is what we need. We also need freedom of movement back so that we've got labour to run our farms and our restaurants and our pubs and everything else. And Brexit is crippling this country. And Nigel Farage is an absolute expert. I mean, he did it with the small boats. The crossings of small boats has gone through the roof since Brexit because we came out of the Dublin Convention. And he's the first person who's up there saying, oh, look, I see small boats coming over the channel. And then he's trying to get everybody to moan about it. This is how he works. He actually feasts on grievances. He's creating grievances, and then he's actually feasting on it and trying to get political capital out of it. And this is just appalling. So please don't fall for it. Be actually astute to what's going on. Yes, there are protests on the continent, and they are protesting and they have got grievances, but those grievances are nothing compared to what we've got in Britain. If they think that they're not happy with the EU and they think that an exit has answers, they need to look at what's going on with British farming, because we are in a very poor position and things will continue to get worse until we accept that Brexit has failed and is failing Britain and will continue to fail Britain until we admit that we need to rejoin. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to comment below and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already.